It was really disappointing to find out that Life by You, a game being developed by Paradox, has been canceled. It was set to be released into early access in just a couple of days, but they reevaluated the project and decided that it just wasn't going to meet the quality standards that they were hoping for in a reasonable timeline and decided to just cancel the entire project. And, these things happen all the time in games, but it disappointed me particularly because as somebody who has um, okay, I didn't play The Sims. It's complicated, but I'm somebody who's put a lot of hours into The Sims franchise. 1, 2, 3, and a little bit of 4. Um, for a really long time. Um, I wish The Sims had a competitor. Like I wish so much. Competition really does breed excellence. There's so many other games that have had healthy competition and it's made all the games better, you know, without um, without Skyrim being you know promising but ultimately like disappointing. We may have never gotten Elden Ring. It's not hard to tell when you're running around an Elden Ring. Oh my god, the DLC is going to be released soon. It's hard not to think, what inspired this, right? Like you running around in the caves and stuff. It definitely seemed like somebody played Skyrim and wanted to make it better, more than it just being yet another Souls game, right? Because it definitely is with the combat and everything, but the open world and all the caves and the exploration, it feels like there was worse games that were played by its creators to push it to the next level, and I think that this is nothing but a good thing when this happens. But with The Sims, it's one of like, I mean, you know, a lot of people, it's similar to like Warcraft and some of the other games, like Halo or Valorant or something, League of Legends, where if somebody plays The Sims, that's the only game they play. They don't play games, they play this game, right? And it's always had that sort of community where you don't hear about people. One second. You don't hear about people that play The Sims because they are The Sims players. They don't, they're not gamers in general, right? And, it tends to be a community that kind of keeps to themselves, but they, during three, when 3 was, I don't know, a few years back, I think it came out around 2009, right? Um, There was a lot of, very vocal, but vocal within the community, people that were upset about the changes within the franchise and, the frustration that they felt that, EA just kept reselling the same game over and over with less and less features at launch so that they could resell the features that we already had in previous games, um, as DLC in future games. And, people were upset with 2 when that happened, but they were like, okay, well, 2 is a step up from 1. So there was some, you know, they had a lot of technical things that they were trying to get kind of ironed out. And then, then the features like from 1 kind of returned. And then, but then when the same thing happened with 3, it's like, okay, sure, but 3 is still a technical step up from 2, and it makes sense that not everything is gonna be a launch version feature, but then when 4 was a step backwards, like, 4 is closer to 2 than 3. Like, 4 would probably be a good Sims game if 3 had never happened, right? But, um but 4 is a step backwards, and they took like, all the base game features out, and then now there's, like, $1,000 worth of DLC for the game. Like, even people that actually do play it call it a DLC simulator. Like, it's a shopping simulator. It's not a game anymore. Now, I was never a Sims player. Anytime I pushed the play button on Sims, I was just testing, because I really like architecture. So I've always treated the Sims game as a um is like a I don't know, kind of like model building or something. Like I enjoy building houses or shops or like businesses and stuff in the Sims, and then I would share them with the community. So I was like a builder. But I would get a lot of the DLC, so I'd have more items to build with, and I would play through them just enough to kind of understand how the gameplay and worked for the DLC, so that I could make like houses to accommodate for it. Because I just enjoyed I enjoy like building the houses and sharing them. And there was a good relationship between the people that were creating content. Either some people were good at making good looking sims, so they would share them. They were creators, and then there was people that enjoyed building, and there were it's very time consuming. Like especially like in 3, sometimes I would spend 20, 30 hours on a single house, and then I would share it with people. Like I would never use it myself. I would delete it from my library once I was done building it, and it wasn't a big deal. But some people still go and play in houses that I built years ago in their game now, and that's a pretty cool feeling, like the community element of it. So like I understand I understand like, um eh, with a broader gaming audience, like Sims players are non-existent because they do really keep to themselves, but um it's really disappointing that that EA has had it, like the entire market to themselves for so long, with so many disappointed um fans either still buying the game anyway, which, that'll show them, or, just completely giving up on games altogether because the one game they wanted to play sucks. And, you know, there was only 3 competitors that were even coming up, and that took 23 years. I think the first Sims game came out in 2001, right? But, there's just nobody willing to take on, like, specifically, like, the life sim element of it. And and I've never been a fan of that aspect of it. I just enjoyed building. So like, even if there was a game close to that, it doesn't really like satisfy like what I was playing it for. I found that I just play like builder survivors now instead of like life simulators, because like, there's something a bit more satisfying about like gathering the materials before I build a house anyway. So I kind of like Valheim, or there's like a bunch of Lost in the Jungle, Build a House kind of games. I just enjoy those now. Especially like once there's mods and you can do more elaborate structures. Like I like, so, I mean, I guess as far as I'm concerned, there are Sims competitors, but there was a Korean game called Inzoi that looks like it might be a competitor. So that's still going, and there is Paralives. I don't know if Paralives was the same studio that was building Life by You, but you know, honestly, I wish them the best, because even if their game isn't the same level of successful as the Sim series, it would be really, really good to give EA some healthy competition, so that maybe they would be more open to listening what their customers want, or what their disappointments are, or their frustration. Because right now, people have the choice of buy the game and play anyway, or completely stop. And that, like, if there hadn't been like a Quake and a Duke Nukem, right? And if there hadn't been all these other dungeon crawlers like around at the same time, like would we have ever, you know, gotten like, the Titans that we had later, right? If if there was only Castlevania, like would we have ever, gotten more games like that? Like we didn't have any Souls likes until there was Dark Souls, and now that's a fairly common combat type in games. And I think that, each iteration on it has made a better and better game. And I just see competition as a really important, part of game development and growth. And I mean, like, I think refinement is important. I don't just think that each game should be bigger than the next, like they shouldn't compete by just throwing more at it. But if somebody can play a game and make a better version of it, then I think that's only a good game or only a good thing because the next game might rise up to meet the quality level that the new game made, and then and it's good for everybody if they're challenged and like what is the quote? No king reigns forever, right? Like, you can't just sit on your previous accomplishments and like phone it in and expect to be successful forever. You have to innovate. You have to improve. You have to listen to what people want. If you ignore people long enough, they will go away. And I think that's what a lot of the gaming industry has been experiencing recently, just fatigue at, business practices or unfinished games or, just the endless amounts of DLC and microtransactions, just different small complaints building up over time until people are just completely disengaged from it. And I think like competition is really important at, you know, um, okay, take care.